In the Invincible universe, there's this universe-conquering, mustache-wearing, aura-forming superhuman race that we all know as Viltrumites. Not only do these guys possess strengths unmatched to basically any other race to exist, but they also seem to be immune to every disease known to man. Which makes you wonder if these almost indestructible beings could become zombies. So, in today's video, I'll be answering just that. We'll also see how likely they are to become zombies in 4 different zombie universes. This is not a very far-fetched concept because the creators of Invincible actually wrote the Walking Dead comics, and the familiarity with zombies almost led to the existence of a zombified Invincible variant. But unfortunately, this idea was scrapped, and the reason for this being revised partially answered the question as well. Ryan Otley posted this post on his Instagram account explaining why this version of Invincible was rejected.
Makes sense Robert wasn't into this one, since it opened up a whole batch of problems with the idea that they could all become zombies.
To me, that sounds like Robert thought it would be less complicated to have Viltrumites be immune to the virus, right? But in any case, it was said in Season 1 Episode 5 that drugs, viruses, prions, bacteria, nanobots, and not even radiation has effects on the Viltrumite cells. So with that into consideration, it would be safe to assume that if a zombie virus outbreak was to happen on Earth, the Viltrumite biology would stand superior. But that's under one condition, and that condition is if this was a virus, and if this virus only targeted human DNA. I emphasize on human DNA because one of the most deadliest Viltrumite weakness was actually a virus that was biologically engineered using Viltrumite cells to kill and weaken Viltrumites. That's right, the Scourge virus. This hasn't been animated yet, but it is in the comics, and Thedas, the Great Betrayer, used his blood to wipe out basically half of the Viltrumite population. And if this was possible, then with the proper tools and equipment, a zombie virus could be engineered specifically for Viltrumites. However, I can think of 2 other scenarios where Viltrumites can 100% become zombies, and one of these scenarios we've already seen. The first one is magic. By definition, a zombie is a corpse that had been brought back to life by witchcraft or magic. While magic has not been explored in the TV show, in the official Invincible handbook, it did state that magic is the final stage of technology. The more technology progresses, the easier it becomes to use, and the more powerful it gets as well. This is a very unconventional take on magic, but regardless of how it works, I believe it can achieve the same results as supernatural magic would work in any other universe, which would mean a spell could be casted to revive Viltrumites and would make them into zombies. The second scenario is one we've all seen before, and this is with the reanimate. In the comics, Cecil successfully reanimated a few dead Invincible variants through the use of technology and mechanical alterations, taking full control of their minds and actions. It could be argued that these are cyborgs, or rather robots, but these are literally reanimated corpses. They're dead, so I don't think there should be much of a debate here. But every piece of fiction finds their own diverse and dynamic way to make zombies a thing, and the 4 that I believe stand out are iZombie, The Walking Dead, Marvel Zombies, and The Last of Us. Starting with The Walking Dead. In The Walking Dead, a person becomes a zombie only after they've died due to an unknown pathogen that's transmitted somehow. There isn't a lot of information on how this is contracted, but it's either airborne or other. But what we do know for sure is that a bite or a scratch from a zombie in this universe will turn a person into The Walking Dead. However, zombies from this universe are really weak and slow, so it would be impossible for a zombie to infect a full-blooded Viltrumite. For someone like Mark, it's a lot more plausible only if this happened before his Viltrumite DNA dominance. Up next is The Last of Us. Personally, I believe The Last of Us has one of the most scientifically grounded depictions of zombies in all of fiction. As a matter of fact, they don't even refer to these creatures as zombies, but instead they call them infected. The infected are mutated human beings who have been taken over by a new strain of the quadriceps brain infection. I hope I said that right. This is a fungal infection that attacks the host's brain, slowly taking over their cognitive function and stripping them of their humanity, leaving these super aggressive, irrational, and disfigured creatures. This is spread either by airborne spores or through cuts, bites, and scratches. It should also be noted that some creatures can carry the virus without showing any signs of being infected. I think it's more likely for a Viltrumite to be infected by this virus because this virus attacks the brain and higher cognitive functions. We don't know for sure if the specific thing that the virus attaches itself to is located in Viltrumites, but it's safe to assume that it would affect a Viltrumite since Viltrumites have brains. It's possible that a Viltrumite could recover from this virus after being infected because they didn't specify if the virus would weaken a person's immune system, but unlike the other zombie viruses, cordyceps infection is always evolving. So if a Viltrumite was supposed to get stuck in the universe for an extended period of time, over time the virus would evolve to their Viltrumite biology and render them useless to themselves. Like, can you imagine a Viltrumite clicker? That would be absolutely terrifying. Next up is iZombie. In this universe, zombies are humans who have become near-dead beings due to a combination of chemicals, something called tainted utopium and an energy drink called Max Rager. iZombies retain their higher brain function once they consume a steady and healthy dosage of human brain. Upon being angered or given a stimulation for adrenaline rush, they go on full zombie mode. While iZombie have one of the most dynamic depictions of zombies, its zombification leaves a lot of room for speculation since utopium isn't a substance we've seen tested on Viltrumites. Chances are it wouldn't have any effect on them for the same reasons every known bacteria, virus, or prions don't work. And the fact that these zombies need an adrenaline boost to fully become zombies would kinda make that impossible for Viltrumites since Viltrumites don't have adrenaline. Last but definitely not least is the hunger virus from Marvel Zombies. The origins of this zombie virus is very enigmatic, but also the most potent we've seen in fiction because this virus transcends universes and also targets people with superpowers. As I said, the origins are a bit unknown, but what we do know is that this was originated on Earth 91126, but the Watcher trapped a zombified sentry to Earth 2149's path to contain the virus within a time loop because this was the only way he saw to stop the virus. Just like any other zombie virus, it's passed on through bites from the infected to the non-infected, which turns the infected into undead creatures. But for some reason, they retain their intelligence, personality, and powers, but have this overwhelming urge for human flesh and human flesh only. And the more hungry the infected beings are, the more irrational and determined they get. As a matter of fact, the sentry that came to Earth 2149 came to Earth by traveling the multiverse looking for flesh. Unlike other viruses, this virus doesn't spare anyone. We've seen literally gods get affected by this, like Thor, and people with ridiculous healing factor like Wolverine and Deadpool. One thing to note about this virus is that after being isolated and deprived of human flesh, the overwhelming hunger that the zombies have will go away, which would make them pretty much back to normal, except they'd be severely disfigured, but Viltrumites do not stand a chance against this virus at all. If the Hulk or Thor got a hold of Viltrum, their civilization is over. Not only are Viltrumites weaker than most or like every superhero in the Marvel universe, their healing factor stands zero chance against the virus. The only thing that would possibly save them is their ability to fly and run away, and that wouldn't be able to help them for long since these superheroes are brain dead and literally gods. Plus, they're very, very persistent. So, could a Viltrumite become a zombie? Yes. But could a Viltrumite become a zombie by zombie viruses? But that's a bit more complicated. However, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe for more.